Hello friends, today I take up a new topic and its title is The Contribution of the Supreme Court in the Development of India. Friends, I have taken this topic because an article was published in the newspaper Hindu with the title Supreme Failure. And the writer accused Supreme Court as the supreme failure in its journey for 73 years. Now, I want to discuss as to why the proposition or the accusation of the writer is totally unfounded. Now, I will discuss in detail about the role of Supreme Court in the development of our democracy, our institutions, and so we will talk one by one. Friends, as you know that after independence there were several challenges before the Honorable Supreme Court, and these were the protection of fundamental rights to citizens and non-citizens, to establish constitutional supremacy. As you know that our constitution proposes constitutional sovereignty. Why I am telling this? Because contrary to the British Constitution, the sovereignty lies with the Constitution of India. All power emanates from Constitution of India. So Constitution is sovereign in our country. Challenges for Supreme Court were to protect life and liberty of the people, to protect fundamental rights of the citizen, non-citizen, to establish constitutional supremacy, to assist in the poverty alleviation and securing social justice, to establish social cohesion as mandated by the preamble of our Constitution, where liberty, equality and fraternity are to be established in our country, and so safety and security of the people and the country, environmental protection and conservation, rule of law, and an environment of investment and higher growth and sustainable development of our economy. These were the important challenges that confront Supreme Court from its inception on 28th January 1950. So, friends, let us start the proceedings. Our lesson plan includes introduction, why is it in the news, how far the Supreme Court has tackled these challenges to secure constitutional supremacy in India, challenge of poverty alleviation, securing social justice, challenge of ensuring safety and security, environmental protection and conservation, rule of law, investment and sustainable economic growth. These were the challenges. So, friends, before starting the proceedings, please share and subscribe my channel AJIS Academy Indore, and you will find numerous videos covering different topics related with different type of competitive examination. I hope you will get ample benefit out of these lectures. So friend, let us start the proceeding now. Ours is an integrated judicial system. When I say integrated judicial system, what does this mean? it means that Supreme Court is at the top. There is no division between state laws and federal laws or union laws. Supreme Court is competent to hear all types of laws. And what we find in America, the US, the federal court only decide case related with federal laws, and state laws are decided by the respective high courts. So what we see, that Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. When I say original jurisdiction, it means that when there is a dispute between the center and the state or between two states, that jurisdiction lies with Supreme Court. No other court can entertain these dispute. So Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. It has writ jurisdiction also in order to enforce fundamental rights, and these writs are habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. And I have discussed these writs in detail in our previous videos. Now, appellate. Supreme Court is the supreme appellate authority. And similarly, it has got advisory jurisdiction under Article 143 of our Constitution. President can seek advice of the Supreme Court when a matter relates to a question of law or fact. It is not mandatory for Supreme Court to give advice, but in matters related to pre-constitutional disputes, then Supreme Court will have to give advice to the President of India. Again, Supreme Court is a court of record, and its decision, its judgments are the law of land. All courts are bound to follow the decision or the judgment delivered by Supreme Court. So it is a court of record. Supreme Court has power to review its own decision. It can change its previous decision. It can withdraw the pending case in High Court and can decide it. It is the decider in matters related to election of President and Vice President of India. It is the ultimate interpreter of the Constitution of India, and so it is the guardian. Apart from President of India, the Supreme Court is the guardian of the Constitution, the final interpreter of the Constitution, and so its law is binding on all subordinate courts. And you can see how powerful our Supreme Court is. So now, why it is in the news? And I have already told you that an article was published in the Hindu newspaper and with the title Supreme Failure. So I stand here to refute all the charges leveled by the author. Why I am telling this? I will refute one by one the allegation leveled against the Supreme Court. Friends, as you know that Supreme Court is disposing thousands of cases per year, and what you see that the author accuses, and the accusations are that Supreme Court did not hear cases related to the abrogation of Article 370, that the CA Act was not, Citizens Amendment Act was not heard of. Secondly, demonetization case is also pending, and then electoral bond and the reservation of economically weaker sections. I mean the 103rd Amendment of the Constitution, whereby 10% reservation was given by the government of India to economically weaker sections of society. So, friend, what you see that our constitution proposes a kind of separation of power between three wings of our governance, and these three wings are legislature, executive and judiciary. So the main purpose of our founding fathers of constitution was that these three wings or organs of the government should not interfere in others' sphere of activities. And so if Supreme Court did not entertain the petition related with the abrogation of Article 370, so this cannot be said to be a bit lukewarmness on the part of Supreme Court. Why I am telling this? Because this is the work of executive. How the state will be created, which state will be put to an end and maybe merged with other state. This is within the domain of executive or the legislature. So all these allegations are without substance and unfounded. So what we see that however in the last few years, writer admits that the last few years Supreme Court has done tremendous work in the field of declaring the right of privacy as fundamental right, decriminalizing the consensual sexual conduct between the adult of the same sex, recognizing transgender as the third gender, outlawed the triple talaq prevalent among Muslims, that is also called talaq-e-biddat. So now we switch over to the important challenges that Supreme Court confronted since its beginning in 1950. So what were those challenges? And I have already told you, challenges were protection of fundamental rights of citizens and non-citizens, constitutional supremacy, to establish constitutional supremacy, protection of life and liberty, poverty alleviation and securing social justice, and then to establish social cohesion on the basis of fraternity among all classes of people, safety and security of its citizens, and then environmental protection and conservation, and finally rule of law, how to establish rule of law in this country, and then finally how to achieve sustainable growth in the economy. So friends, one by one I will tackle all these challenges that confront Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court affirmed that protection of Article 21 will extend to non-citizen in addition to the citizen also. In Menka Gandhi case 1978, Supreme Court overruled its judgment in the Gopalan case. It ruled that the right to life and personal liberty of a person can be deprived by law provided the procedure prescribed that law is reasonable, fair and just. And in other words, it has introduced the American expression of due process of law. Friends, as you might be knowing that under Article 21, it is written in our Constitution that no life or personal liberty can be taken of a person without the procedure established by law. What does this mean? It means that if you want to take the life of anybody, you will have to go through the process of procedure established by law. And in our, suppose a person has killed another person, then what will the procedure? Its procedure will be that an FIR, first information report, will be registered in the concerning police station against the accused. Investigation will be done. Evidences will be collected. And then finally charge sheet will be prepared and then will be submitted before the court, the jurisdictional court. The trial will start. Examination chief, cross-examination, re-examination of the prosecution witnesses, of the accused will take place. Important documents will be submitted before the court, and then court will arrive at a decision. It will deliver verdict whether that person can be convicted or acquitted on the basis of the evidence adduced during the course of investigation and trial. So what you see, that this is the process, and then the appeal can be made in the High Court. If death penalty is awarded or punishment of more than 10 years is awarded, then the accused will have the right to appeal in High Court and Supreme Court. So, and finally he will have also the right to produce mercy petition before the President of India. So this is the procedure established by law. Now what is see, that Supreme Court widened this scope. And why I am telling this? Because the due process of law was also inserted in our criminal proceeding, in our civil proceeding. Why I am telling this? Because it prescribes that law is reasonable, fair and just. In other words, it has introduced the American expression of due process of law. Friends, as you might be knowing that in our constitution, the word due process of law was not entered into. It was the procedure established by law. So what you see, that scope has become very much wide, like in the American Constitution. So due process of law has also become a part of our Constitution. The Supreme Court declared that human rights are part of Article 21. It has widened the scope of Article 21, and these are right to live with human dignity, right to have decent environment, including pollution-free water and air and protection against hazardous industries, right to have livelihood, right to privacy, right to shelter, right to health, right to free education up to 14 years of age. And that's why, because of the judgment of Supreme Court, now the right to education has become the part of our fundamental right under Article 21A, where the education up to 14 years of age has become free. Now, right to free legal aid, and this right to free legal aid now forms part of our directive principle of a state policy under Article 39A. Right against solitary confinement, right to a speedy trial, right against handcuffing, and under the, in the case of the D.D. Basu, the Supreme Court clearly decreed that nobody can be handcuffed without reasonable proof or without the permission of the concerning magistrate. Why he should be handcuffed? He may be a very dangerous criminal. So in that situation, he may be handcuffed. Otherwise, police cannot handcuff any accused. So this right against handcuffing, right against inhuman treatment, right against delayed execution, because you know that justice delayed is justice denied. And so our Supreme Court decreed in Scatina of judgment that it is the right of individual to get a speedy trial and judgment, right to travel abroad, right against bonded labor. And you see that because of the intervention of our Supreme Court, so many bonded laborers were freed, and right against custodial harassment. So we see that the right to life and liberty under Article 21 has become the biggest article under fundamental rights, encompassing different types of rights given to citizen and non-citizen of India. So what you see, this is the revolutionary step on the part of our Supreme Court to secure constitutional supremacy in India. Now the second challenge was to establish supremacy of our constitution. Friends, I have already told you that in our constitution, unlike British constitution, the constitution is supreme. In Britain, it is a parliament that is supreme. Parliament can change any law except changing male into female or female into male. Parliament of England can do anything. Even the amendment procedures are like ordinary procedure in Britain. So Parliament of Britain is supreme. But in our case, like USA, what you see, the constitution is supreme. And so it has been the bounden duty of Supreme Court, our judiciary, to stop the interference in the provision of our constitution by executive or legislature. And what you see, that this process started since 1951 in Shankari Prasad case, where during the hearing of the abolition of Zamindari system, Supreme Court opined that it is within the domain of or power of Parliament to amend even the fundamental rights. In addition, to amend the Article 368. Parliament is within its right to amend the fundamental right also. But in 1967, Supreme Court reversed its earlier stand in Shankari Prasad case in 1951 and stood the ground that Parliament has no power to amend the fundamental rights enshrined in our Constitution under Part 3 from Article 12 to 35. And when in 1971 government again brought the amendment and it amended the provision under Article 368, and Parliament asserted its authority that it can change fundamental rights in 1971 by 24th Amendment. In 1973, in Keswanand Bharati case, Supreme Court laid down the new doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution. It ruled that Parliament is within its right to amend the Article 368, which is an amending article, and it can also amend the fundamental rights, but it cannot change the basic structure of the Constitution of India. But Supreme Court did not define as to what constitute basic structure of the Constitution, and I will discuss it in detail. Now, in 1975, the government by 39th Amendment Act amended that election dispute involving Prime Minister and a Speaker of the Lok Sabha were kept outside the purview of Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court invalidated this provision, pointing out that it was beyond the amending power of the Parliament as it affected the basic structure of the Constitution. By 42nd Amendment 1976, during the period of emergency, Article 368 was further amended and declared that there is no limitation on the constituent power of the Parliament, and any amendment can be done. Even the amending power under Article 368 can be amended by Parliament, and that court of law cannot question the amendment which contravene any fundamental rights of our Constitution. So what we see, that Parliament got overriding power. It said that it can amend any part of the Constitution, even the fundamental rights of Constitution. So in 1980, in the Minerva Mill case, Parliament asserted its authority by pointing out that Supreme Court has the inherent power of judicial review, and it is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution. So what you see, that the unlimited power that had been bestowed upon Parliament was declared null and void by Supreme Court, except one thing, that whenever the implementation of Article 39B and C will be done under the directive principles of state policy, it will not be hampered on account of the provision of Article 14 and 19 or 21 of the Constitution. So what you see, that now Supreme Court realized that in addition to the political democracy, social and economic democracy must be established in our country, because large chunk of people, largest number of people were living below the poverty line. They were finding difficult to eking out their livelihood. So what you see, that Supreme Court changed its policy, and its policy was now to focus upon the investment and for the sustainable economic development of our economy, environmental protection and conservation. Now, in Baman Rao case in 1980, Supreme Court again adhered to the basic structure and declared that it would apply to all constitutional amendment after 24th April 1973. So what you see, friends, you might be knowing that under Schedule 9, different laws relating to Jamindaris, abolition of Jamindari were put into 9th schedule, and the purpose was that judiciary will become immune from interference in those laws which have been put under 9th schedule. Now Supreme Court reversed this trend. It said that any law that has been put under 9th schedule since 24th April 1973 will all come under the purview of judicial review. So this is a landmark judgment. Now, I have already told you that Supreme Court did not define the basic structure. What are the basic structure of the constitution? But on the basis of different judgments delivered by Supreme Court and High Courts, we can summarize following points as the basic structure of the constitution, like the supremacy of the constitution, secondly, sovereign, democratic and republican nature of the Indian polity, secular character of the constitution, separation of power between the legislature, executive and judiciary, federal character of the constitution, unity and integrity of the nation, welfare state, socio-economic justice as it is enshrined in our preamble, where the justice is political, social and economic. And so Supreme Court lays stress upon welfare state. To establish a welfare state, judicial review, freedom and dignity of the individual, parliamentary system, rule of law and many more. Friends, it is heartening to note that this principle of basic structure has now become a part of the law books or the constitution of different countries of the world, and the higher judiciary of different countries like South Asia, African countries borrowed this concept of principle of basic structure of the constitution. So Supreme Court now mobilized vast power in our country. It is more powerful than American Supreme Court. Now, challenge of poverty alleviation and securing social justice. The main aim of the constitution to uplift the socially and educationally backward classes, SC and scheduled caste. And you might be knowing under Article 15 and 16 of our constitution, Supreme Court in Nair Service Society versus State of Kerala 2007 upheld the exclusion of creamy layer on the basis that person who have reached the status of general category cannot be permitted to defeat the purpose and objects of reservation. So those backward class people who have become advanced economically, they have reached the creamy layer, so they can't get benefit out of the reservation under OBC. This is not still applicable for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Now court upheld the validity of 93rd amendment of our constitution, whereby a provision was added in Article 15 of our constitution for giving admission to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and socially and educationally backward classes into the institutes aided by or maintained by state government. So the Supreme Court also held that women from forward class married to a tribal man cannot become tribal automatically until or unless it is approved by the village community. Next, the court reiterated the definition of the cruelty under section 13 of Hindu Marriage Act, and now cruelty also include mental cruelty, and on this basis a divorce can also be filed. So in addition to physical violence, mental cruelty also form part of the cause for getting divorce. The court held that the demand for money is not dowry. It is also a landmark judgment, because in the dowry death case, where the burden of proof is on the accused and where many in-laws are made accused, so on the basis of demand of dowry, so Supreme Court defined as to what constitutes dowry. If you are taking money for start your business, this is not called dowry. So the wide clear definition was given by Supreme Court as to what constitute dowry. The court held that the marriage for all person must be registered. This is also an important judgment. The custody of child can be given to the mother who has been married. And why Supreme Court gave judgment? Because it is the welfare of child that is of utmost importance in the eyes of Supreme Court. Although the mother has now remarried, but because the welfare of child is more important, so Supreme Court gave verdict that even in spite of getting her married to another man, she can have the custody of the child. Court held that the threats, harassment and violence against the couples who remarry across caste must be duly protected. And friends, as you might be knowing, that whenever inter-religion marriage or inter-caste marriage takes place, lots of problems crop up on the front of law and order situation. And so Supreme Court is adamant that whenever inter-caste marriage takes place or inter-religious marriage takes place, full protection should be provided to the newly married couple. The court refused to ban cow slaughter. Why? Because the court doesn't want to interfere in the domain of scrutiny. Because making laws is in the domain of legislature. So Supreme Court refused to ban cow slaughter. Challenge of ensuring safety and security. It has been the utmost concern of Supreme Court to provide security and safety of its citizen. And so what you see, several changes in criminal laws were made by the Honorable Court. And what were these changes? The principle regarding the presumption of guilt and reversal of the burden of proof, admissibility of the confession, extrajudicial confession, retracted confessions, circumstantial evidences, clarified on the grant of the bail, explained the use of video conferencing in justice administration. Several landmark judgments were given on these topics to clarify the stand as to how and in what condition the subordinate court can grant bail to the accused. A stern penalty of 1 year imprisonment and fine of 50,000 must be awarded to hostile witnesses. Challenge of environmental protection and conservation. Because of the interference of Supreme Court, so many children who were working in different factories, they were freed. In Katina of judgment, the principle of sustainable precautionary principles, polluter pays absolute liability, the court reaffirms its commitment to its environmental protection and made it a part of Article 21 of the Constitution. So what you see, that the Supreme Court made the protection and conservation of environment, pollution-free environment as part of our Article 21 of the Constitution. Strengthening the rule of law. Friends, as you know that rule of law is the basic of our democracy. We cannot remain democracy without following the rule of law. This rule of law principle has been borrowed from the British Constitution. It means that everybody is equal before law, equal protection of law will be given to everybody. No person can be denied the equal protection of law as enshrined in our Article 14 of the Constitution. So what we see, the court held that the power of pardon vested in President and Governor is not immune from judicial review. The court held that criminal act performed under the color of authority shall not be protected under the doctrine of state immunity. Friends, as you know that Governor and our President have power of pardon, reprieve, remission, commutation of punishment. So the court held that these powers cannot be exercised by President and Governor without having reasonable grounds. This power also comes under the judicial review and court can interfere. So the court issued guidelines to issue police administration, procedure for selection and appointment of senior police officer, separation of investigation from law and order being, and police establishment board for transfer and posting of subordinate police officers, police complaint authority, and guidelines for curbing the menace of ragging in the educational institutions. All these points have been covered by Supreme Court in different judgments. And similarly, Supreme Court strengthened the grassroots level democracy by insisting or by making mandatory provision to conduct election in time for local bodies like Panchayati Raj system, government or municipal corporation election. The dilly-dally tactics of the state government or state election commission was very much sternly dealt with by Supreme Court, and election commissions were mandated to conduct the election of these local bodies in time, giving direction for floor test in the assembly to test the majority. And so you know that in the case of Maharashtra or in Karnataka or in different states, Supreme Court directly intervened, and these steps of Supreme Court are further strengthen our democratic spirit. Similarly, strengthen the basis and alternate district dispute. Supreme Court also devised the basis and of the alternate dispute resolution by upholding the validity of amendment made in the CPC. The resolution of interstate disputes have also been done by Supreme Court in order to have a smooth functioning of our state government and central government. Now the last point, Supreme Court has also been very much active in the furtherance of investment and for sustainable economic growth, because you friends know that because without the investment our economy cannot grow. So in Catena of judgment, Supreme Court and its judgment boosted our economy. Like for example, software, although it was treated as intellectual property right, now since it is being treated as goods, so Supreme Court told that it is subject to sales tax, and sales of lottery tickets not being goods is not subject of sales tax. So the court also ruled on the vicarious criminal liability of company directors or on dishonor of checks issued by the company. And friends, as you know that this is also a landmark judgment. And similarly, the court clarified the law governing membership in the stock exchange, whereby Supreme Court prohibited relative must not be the member of a stock exchange, and Similarly, it contributed significantly to the development of Consumer Protection Act. So, because for want of time, I did not spell out in detail as to how much work Supreme Court has done on the front of taxes. So, to conclude, I would like to say that Supreme Court has done tremendous job on the front of different type of challenges that India faced since independence, and it has protected the right of citizen, non-citizen. It has established supremacy of constitution, and it also tried its level best that the three wings of government like the judiciary, legislature and executive should function under their own limits. So friends, as you know, if you like this topic, my lecture, please share and subscribe. Just write down AJIS Academy on YouTube and you'll find numerous videos for competitive examination. Thank you very much.